All right, let's take you through a very big news that's come in today that continues to impact thousands of passengers who are taking flights in India. Thousands of passengers stranded as chaos unfolds at Delhi's Indira Gandhi International Airport, India's busiest aviation hub. Nearly 700 flights have been delayed or have been diverted after a technical fault has hit the air traffic control's automatic message switching system, which transmits vital flight plan data to the air traffic controllers. In a statement, the airport authority has said that flight operations are facing delays due to the glitch in the AMSS system that supports the ATC data. Controllers are now processing all the flight plans literally manually, and that's what's delayed to that's what led to all the delays in clearances, in communication with the pilots, with communication with the ground staff. The airport authority says it's only a technical glitch and they're working to restore the system at the earliest, and they've thanked passengers for their patience. Now, this snag has hit airports across India. Passengers are now facing long queues across multiple airports. Of course, Delhi airport severely hit. Delays, diversions, flights have been halted. Visuals from the Delhi airport show crowded terminals, stranded flyers, packed boarding gates. Airlines, including Air India, IndiGo, SpiceJet, have all issued advisories asking passengers to check flight updates before heading to the airport. The IT ministry has now ruled out a cyber attack. They say it's not a cyber attack, saying it's only a technical glitch, a technical failure. But let me tell you, the timing is a concern. This glitch comes just days after the Delhi airport reported a spate of GPS spoofing incidents, where fake satellite signals misled aircrafts about their actual location. Earlier this week, in fact, Delhi ranked second globally for flight disruptions. According to a report that's come from Times of India, at least 7 flights were diverted to Jaipur and Lucknow. Reports say the navigation integrity category value, which basically measures the GPS accuracy, had dipped from its normal 8 to 0 within a 60 nautical mile radius around Delhi. The DGCA has launched now an inquiry into these incidents. In fact, GPS spoofing is certainly a concern. What's worse in the situation here is that Delhi's main runway's instrument landing system, the ILS, the radar-based precision landing guide, is currently shut for an upgrade to category 3, which basically allows landing in dense fog. And in the absence of this, pilots are now relying heavily on satellite-based navigation, leaving aircrafts now more vulnerable to spoofing or positioning errors. Experts are explaining that spoofing, what really it means. To give you a little sense on what GPS spoofing means, imagine your phone showing you're 4 kilometers away from where you actually are. That's how fake GPS signals can throw off an aircraft navigation. Over conflict zones, this is common and it can be dangerous. A jet over Delhi could appear to be over Chandigarh on cockpit instruments, and that could cause immense confusion and mid-air congestion as well. Instances like this are not new, we hear. Between November 2023 and February 2025, the center has noted that nearly 465 cases of spoofing, GPS spoofing, have been reported along the Indian airports. Especially this has happened along the India-Pakistan border, mainly around Amritsar and Jammu. Also, a global report is there where the International Air Transport Association, IATA, has logged 4.3 lakh cases of GPS jamming and spoofing in 2024 alone, which is a 62% rise from the previous year. For now, Delhi skies remain crowded and it's the passengers who are bearing the brunt here. Let me bring in our guests for a little more on what exactly has happened here. What is GPS spoofing? Is this something for us to worry? So far, the technical glitch, that's what the airport authority says, is the technical glitch, without elaborating what it is, has not been fixed. So delays are going to now run into much over 24 hours. Let's bring in Captain Prashant Dhalla, former Flight Operations Inspector of the DGCA. We also have Captain Sanjay Karve, aviation expert and former accountable manager, aviation government of Maharashtra. Thank you both of you for joining us. Let me start with Captain Prashant. Your take on this, Captain Prashant. Has this ever happened during your tenure? Have you seen this kind of glitch? What does this glitch mean? And we hear in the last week, Delhi airport has faced GPS spoofing. which is so risky. It could show that your flight is elsewhere while it's somewhere else. It could lead to mid-air collisions as well. Who's doing this? Who's behind this? Is this a conspiracy? Do we know of anything that the investigation has so far led us to?
Thank you, Nabila. I must commend the amount of research you've done for this particular, aviation activities. Having said that, the last 48 hours have been very, I can use the word traumatic. It has been chaotic for the passengers, for the stakeholders, the airlines, and the regulator, so to speak of. Now, let us divide this particular discussion into two aspects. You have very rightly categorized it into two parts. It is one is the GPS element, the other is the air traffic control part of it. Now, let us understand the difference between GPS spoofing and jamming. You see, jamming is totally when the signals get lost. Spoofing is an activity which some miscreants can hamper with the aircraft systems, so to speak, of the GPS. Now it can, like you rightly said, it is unreliable. It can cause a lot of confusion state in the cockpit as well as the air traffic control in terms of their position, the accuracy, and that can also lead to a lot of delays. Now, in 2023, while I was also in the government service, we had issued a circular which led, to an awareness in the aviation industry in India. And also, we had emphasized the pilots to have a reporting culture wherein they can have a risk monitoring analysis and also a very common used terminology in aviation called as safety risk assessment. Now, when you are able to do this particular, exercise, the regulator and the operator work tandem together, and you are able to have a safe environment. This is one part of it. Now, having the AMS system falter, you see, we must understand that India has evolved. We are now the third largest aviation market in the world.
Yeah.
Number of flights, the number of aircrafts, the number of pilots is increasing at a tremendous pace. Having said that, the air traffic control is also upgrading their systems. Like you just said on your channel,
Yeah.
that facing a upgradation exercise at Delhi Airport, runway 10 and 28. We are transitioning to a category 3 systems, which will help us in the winter months. So now a technical glitch, that is what the terminology is, commonly used right now, is not something which is unsafe. We are already transitioned to a manual mode right now as we speak. Now the compounding effect, like I was seeing in the morning, it was 300 flights. Now as we speak, it is about 1,000 flights. So that is leading to a compounding effect, the delays. It is a normal practice wherein the air traffic control and the operators will revert to a manual mode, wherein you'll have a
But,
manual
now we're looking at the busiest airport in India, possibly in South Asia, and that many flights that Delhi deals with, to switch to manual mode is going to be a Herculean task. It's not so easy, which is why we understand 700 flights have been delayed or cancelled. So, and the ripple effect is happening across various airports in the country, especially Mumbai, Hyderabad, Bangalore. Flights are delayed or cancelled. So this is a nightmare now for passengers all over the country, not just Delhi. It's acted like, fallen like a pack of cards. But what we aren't yet understanding is, what is this technical glitch? Is it a system crash? Is it a hardware failure, software bug, network overload? There's no clarity that the airport authority has given.
Very well, you very rightly said that it is to say that if I have the liberty to say that it is it something within, or it is an external factor which is leading.
Because the IT ministry says they've ruled out a cyber attack, but yet this comes on the heels of GPS spoofing. That's been reported in at the Delhi airport. Now, is this GPS spoofing that has happened over the last week at the Delhi airport deliberate? Do we know who's done it, who's behind it? It's happened through the dark net. How does this happen? Captain Karvi, can I also involve you in this?
Good evening, Nabila. My colleague has explained as to what GPS jamming and GPS spoofing is. Now, GPS spoofing can take place from anywhere in the world and be targeted at a specific area. If you recollect, about a month ago, some of the US airports also had this problem of the GPS spoofing along with the airport management system collapsing. As far as India is concerned, we have suddenly leapfrogged from being ninth or 10th to the third largest aviation industry. And our infrastructure is taking time to catch up with this space. Like you rightly said, changing from automated system to manual is a Herculean task. And the error could be software error or a hardware error. Now, we cannot totally rule out an external agency because of the GPS spoofing. If I recollect, day before yesterday, that is on 5th evening, Delhi International Airport had a problem between 5 o'clock to 6 o'clock where the systems had hung up and the airlines had to resort to manual boarding of passengers. Passengers were stranded inside the terminal at the gate. Crew had manned the aircraft, but they could not enter the aircraft, the passengers, because the systems were not working. I think this should have been a warning to the air traffic control, the Airports Authority of India, that something is going wrong and we need to be on the alert. GPS spoofing is essentially very dangerous in a country like India, especially North India, where in bad weather, visibility is practically zero. And most of your aviation assets are relying on purely GPS signals. One also needs to note that most of the GPS satellites are controlled by the USA. India has already got its NAVIC system up and going, but out of the 7 satellites in air, only 3 are operational. 4 have their atomic clocks not working. Now, this needs to be looked at into in a serious manner. Unfortunately, these satellites take a back seat when it comes to the other applications.
So what you're trying to say in simple words, sir, that we are right now depending on US managed satellite system to handle our aircrafts right now. Is that what, in simple terms, that's what you're saying? So which means that we ourselves don't have any proper backup or a strong system to fall back on if in case a glitch like this happens. We're not self-reliant here.
About this. See, we had thought about this 10 years ago, and the NAVIC system was thought about, and 7 satellites were launched. And out of the 7 satellites, the 4 satellites had a problem with the atomic clock, which is very critical in positioning. The 2 backup satellites are getting ready with new atomic clocks. So unfortunately, today, we still have to rely on the American satellites. But once we have our own NAVIC, all the 7 satellites operational, this issue get resolved as the entire Indian continent plus 1500 kilometers around us will come under the purview of NAVIC. But at this point, yes, what you rightly pointed out, we are dependent on the American GPS satellites and it is open to spoofing. It's happening all over the world, in Europe, in USA, in India. Cause for concern is...
Captain Karve, for a layperson, tell us, what does spoofing really mean? This is done deliberately by people sitting in a remote area to spell trouble. What does spoofing mean? Or is it a technical glitch that happens on its own?
No, this is not a technical glitch. Like it was explained by my colleague. The GPS operates, but spurious signals are injected. So the navigational equipment...
It's done deliberately.
It's done deliberately. It picks up this signal and it calculates a position which could be far away from your actual position. Now let's take a scenario. Your aircraft is flying at Delhi or Jaipur, or it's flying at Chandigarh, and your navigational equipment, because of the GPS spoofing, shows that you are at Delhi. Now in this situation, the aircraft could move without any intention into Pakistan airspace. Now you can imagine what that would result into. The crew has purely gone by the GPS signal, which tells them that they are 800 kilometers from the border, whereas in actual case, they are crossing the border. Not only here, even in European nations, when you're changing the flight information region or moving from one ATC to another, it could give you wrong position reports, which can create chaos in the air.
This is so scary. I mean, imagine if you're told through the satellite signal that you're positioned at a certain area, and then you have the air traffic controllers giving a signal to another flight to move in that direction. There could be mid-air collision.
It is absolutely scary. But mid-air collision wouldn't take place because we have something known as TCAS also on board. But yes, there could be a lot of congestion. The air traffic controllers would have their hands full. The crew on board the aircraft would have their hands full, and they would be just short of panic because no one would really know where an aircraft is actually positioned. If you just open up the flight radar map and see the bunching of the aircraft in the US airspace, the European airspace, and Indian airspace around Mumbai and Delhi, you can imagine what it would mean if you do not have the correct position
My
of the
God.
aircraft
Yeah.
known to anyone.
I mean, it's okay to deal with 1, 2, 3 flights. What if the signals mess up for scores of flights moving across? It could spell doom. I'm obviously thinking of the worst. I'm sure that our aviation industry are far more knowledgeable and have an expert team to handle this. It won't get this far. But as a layperson, when I think of GPS spoofing and deliberate attempts to show wrong signals of where the flights are, I'm only thinking of the worst of flights coming into mid-air collision. That's all I can think of. I know you're saying that we have enough systems, backup systems to ensure that kind of accident or incident does not take place. But do tell us, is there anything to do with GPS spoofing right now that's been happening in Delhi for the last week? With this, with today's ATS controllers losing their systems?
See, a lot of this satellites, the US GPS or the Galileo or the Navic, they are having an integrity equipment fitted into that so that it can check the integrity of the signal when it is received by the equipment. But this is not something which will happen overnight. It is going to take time. And like my colleague had pointed out, the DGCA has issued safety advisories, and that also asked that whenever the pilots go for the recurrent training, they be trained on this, that should you encounter GPS spoofing, what should be your action? That means the regulator in India has already cautioned the crew, has cautioned the operators, and have laid down a training profile for the crew to be prepared for it so that it should not come as a surprise. Initially, when it happened, it did come as a surprise to a lot of aircrew. Most of us who are flying, you know that you are at a particular place, but your equipment tells you that you are some other place. And unfortunately, today's aviation is such, it is drilled into you. Don't fly by the seat of pants. Believe your instruments. Believe your instruments.
All right.
When we started flying 60 years ago, it was seat of the plants flying.
Yeah.
We used to look outside and rely on a lot of other equipment. Today's younger generation is taught, believe in your instruments, which can create a scary situation.
Captain Prashant, would you want to come in on that? I think a network is going in and out, but give us a little more, or adding to what Captain Karve said. Yeah.
To add to what
Well, we're really.
Sanjay just
There seems to be a real problem with your connection, Captain. If we could try and fix that yet again. I'm going to switch our focus back to Captain Karve. Sir, the IT ministry says it's not a cyber attack, but you're hinting at GPS spoofing indeed being a cyber attack. If Delhi is experiencing it for the last week, and there are the flights we hear have already been diverted to Jaipur, etc., in the last week because of GPS spoofing, and that information has not been explicitly, told to people. Of course, this is maybe to avoid any kind of panic. But with today's crash of the systems, now a lot is being spoken about GPS spoofing. Finally, there is some chatter around deliberate attempts to try and sabotage the Indian air routes. I might be sounding like an alarmist right here, but I can't help but feel like that. It's scary because I fly a lot. And I just want you to give me some assurance, because today's systems have crashed, and this comes on the heels of 1 week of reports of GPS spoofing.
Nabila, I think you felt it yourself as to the IT ministry is not admitting it. Imagine, having been part of the government, imagine if the government comes out with a statement that's saying, yes, our systems have been compromising.
Yeah.
The chaos that would take place, the fear that would get trickled in the common people. I am sure that the IT ministry would be working backdoors to figure out what has happened. But let me tell you, the modern aircraft are reasonably safe and they will alert you if there's any other aircraft close to you. And this alerting system does not work on the GPS system. It works on the relative position of the aircraft to each other. So it really does not matter what the GPS tells you. So that is something which you should not worry. And the
So,
Indian training system is quite robust as far as the aircrew officers or the ATC officers are concerned. So yes, suddenly changing from an automated system to manual system, especially for an aircraft like Delhi, which handles close to 1,000 flights a day, is not easy. It's a Herculean task.
yeah.
You have to ensure that the entire data gets transmitted, especially with a lot of airlines coming in and out and flying into tricky spaces. And if you remember, North India is full of spaces which are controlled by the Air Force and they're extremely sensitive.
Which is why
So you
actually
also have to
my
ensure.
next question to you was that this kind of GPS spoofing happens around conflict zones. And I can't imagine Delhi being a conflict zone. At least Operation Sindoor is far from over. We've, yes, had tensions with Pakistan, but why do you think this is happening in Delhi for the last week? It usually happens around conflict zones. It's happening, in fact, it's risen to 62% or 64%. That's what the international data says. In the last 2 years, GPS spoofing across conflict zones, because then again, there has been conflict, Russia, Ukraine, Israel, Gaza, India, Pakistan briefly. So for Delhi to be facing this kind of GPS spoofing, when ideally this usually happens, we've noticed only around conflict zones. What explains this here? Closer home.
Okay, I am being the devil's advocate. It is quite possible that there are certain agencies who are deliberately doing it to see what is India's reaction. What happens? Can India manage its airspace when something like this happens? If you recollect, during Operation Sindoor, it has come to light that Pakistan got a lot of its information from its friendly nations through their satellites. So it is quite possible that there are certain agencies or certain nations who are trying to figure out if we have this spoofing going on during a future conflict, can India handle it? Will it be possible? I would look at it like this. It's a good thing that it is happening in the so-called peacetime scenario, so that we are mentally prepared that this can happen in case of hostilities. It's also a good thing it has not happened in peak Delhi winters of end December, early January. Imagine the chaos when you have a visibility of 50 meters on the airport and everyone is blindly relying on the instruments to safely land the aircraft. So I would look at it as a blessing in disguise. We have got enough time to prepare, be mentally aware of it. Yes, it is avoidable. Yes, it is something which we cannot totally stop. People will be doing it. When it comes to electronic measures, there are always countermeasures and countermeasures.
Sir, but we are
That is
close
why
to
we have malware
24
researchers.
hours since the system is down. It's now close to 24 hours since the system is down. So far, there hasn't been an update that the system has been fixed. 700 flights have been cancelled, diverted. The ripple effect across the country, all airports are now feeling it. How soon do you think this will resolve?
No, this should get resolved quite soon, because it is not only us, a lot of other nations could also be getting affected. Delhi handles a lot of international traffic.
Correct.
Now, one 777 or a 747 or a 350 operated by an international airline getting delayed going out of India, it will have a ripple effect in their own itinerary, in their own country. So in an issue like this, a lot of nations would come together to resolve. So I don't think it will continue beyond, say, another 12 to 14 hours. They would definitely find a solution, and Airports Authority of India and the Government of India.
What would be your message to passengers, sir? Now, of course, anxious passengers waiting at airports, or they're at, their tours have been cancelled. So what advice would you give them?
I will just tell them, be patient, rely on the Indian systems, and be 100% assured that the Indian sky and the Indian aircraft are safe, because they are managed and maintained by a very well-set trained of pilots and well-set trained of ATC officers. There is no reason for them to get worried. This delay is only towards their safety.
So at a time like this, what happens to cancellation fee and whatnot? What would you advise if those who haven't been able to fly now want to cancel it? They'll have to incur the cancellation fee.
Now, this is a very interesting question. About 3 days ago, DGCA had issued circular asking for comment
Yes.
that within 48 hours, we would like the airlines to refund the fee.
Yeah.
There is also an air saver portal, which gives you an option to refund the fee. Now, the catch 22 is for cancellation or delay. The airline can always use the clause under circumstances beyond their control. Now, if they use this clause, now probably this is where the government has to step in and say, yes, this is something, though it was beyond their control, but a majority of passengers or a large number of population was getting affected. So they need to be adjusted without being charged additional fees for rescheduling of flights.
All right. I think that's that. We've got all the questions answered by you so simply and in detail. Thanks very much, Captain Karve, for joining us. I thank also Captain Prashant Dalla, whose connection was out, but well, we have some information on that. If you are a passenger due to fly, then do check your airline's message. There could be a reschedule or a cancellation. Do follow up. Thanks very much. We're slipping into a short break. We'll be right back. Supreme Court says no more stray dogs at public places. Stay with us.